Starting off with headline number one, because you have to start headline number one. This is still the story that's overtaking everything right now. Sugar Bowl postponed following terror attacks in New Orleans French Quarter. This is a rundown of the attack, plus the addition of the Sugar Bowl, which was scheduled for last night, the fourth of the semifinals in the college football series, which is postponed to tonight, if you will. The New Year's Day tragic incident occurred in the New Orleans French Quarter by a man named Shamsu Did Jabbar. He's a 42-year-old Army veteran who drove a pickup truck displaying Islamic flag and into the Bourbon Street crowd, resulting in at least 15 fatalities at the moment and 30 injuries that we're known right now. After he crashed the vehicle, Jabbar actually came out of the car and had a shootout with police, shooting two officers. He was fatally shot in the incident, and those officers right now completely believe in stable condition. Authorities discovered the weapons across the French Quarter, various other devices that seem like they're IEDs. They had to take them down, plus explosive devices potentially in the truck, which show that this was a premeditated attack, something that was bigger and could have been bolder, if you will. The investigation is going on into the details of Jabbar's life, where he was once an Army veteran. He spent time in Texas as a real soldier, as a member of the U.S. Army, and of course in the National Guard. Way back when, he did financial stuff. He had YouTube channels, stuff like that. Lately, he's been having financial difficulties and issues with his family, just not being the same, and essentially being radicalized by ISIS for this ISIS-inspired attack. Right now, we believe it's ISIS-inspired, not necessarily coordinated. Now, he's an American-born citizen, born of Texas, so he's a Texan, he's American. But where he got to here, no one quite knows. Of course, the Sugar Bowl, the football game scheduled for last night, was postponed 24 hours, so it's actually a little less. So it'll take place about 4:30 Eastern time, I believe, today. So you get an extra day of football if you have the day off. Otherwise, we'll find out who's going to match up in the college football championship in a few weeks. This incident, of course, highlights the concerns on low-tech terrorists and attacks across the nation, possible attacks, especially here in New Orleans. We'll go to Las Vegas in just a moment, but here in New Orleans, we have essentially we had the game that was last night, that'll be tonight, so that's one game going on. Starting on Sunday, they begin parades for the Mardi Gras season, which goes into March the 3rd, and of course, in the middle of that, there's a Super Bowl. New Orleans is one of the highest locales for tourism in the world, as people want to see the French Quarter and people come to see conventions and big events in New Orleans all the time. It's a great place to get in and do stuff because of the atmosphere and the fun times there are, but it also makes this a pretty heavy target. Now, what we know about the targeting system, based off the Christmas attack, the car that drove in the Christmas market in Germany, many cities have actually bolstered up their actual security, and New Orleans actually had a bolstered security for sidewalks and their barriers, but they weren't fixed. So in the effort to take things on the level of a grander scale for Christmas and for the Sugar Bowl, they had police officers out there basically barricading things off in regular barricades, as opposed to prepping to get them fixed for the Super Bowl in a month. Essentially, the government's going to shut down, everything the day after the Sugar Bowl and get started, make sure the Super Bowl was fortified. Now they're doing it much, much earlier. This is one heavy thing, but it gets even heavier because this was only the first of two attacks in the day that seem to have a sort of terrorist ISIS bent. There are less things known in the next story for Las Vegas, although there's plenty unknowns here for New Orleans. Less things known in Las Vegas for this situation here. In fact, as I was prepping this up, we're a little late getting the story out today. I'm watching the news and they're doing some new info on what they know about the guy here. So I'm going to pepper that in as best as possible with what we have for the actual robot editor from last night's work. The Trump Hotel in Las Vegas was evacuated after a Cybertruck catches fire outside the lobby. That was the original thing. It got fire because it blew up. A Tesla Cybertruck exploded outside the Trump International Hotel in Las Vegas about 8 o'clock, 8:30 local time. The death of the driver and 7 injuries to people who were just bystanders there. This was a rented car via the app Turo, which is also how the Texas driver got his Texas truck from Turo to drive to New Orleans. Turo is a app that allows private citizens to rent out their vehicles, especially if you have something like a classic car or something like that, so that people can use those cars. And it's where everybody gets their Lamborghinis for those fake videos on YouTube. In that truck, they found gas canisters and large fireworks to hopefully make a big bomb. Now, what made this a little bit safer, if you will, The build of the Cybertruck, which was, touted by Elon Musk to make it impenetrable, basically made it hard to blow up. So the explosion did not go out, it went up, and it saved the infrastructure at Trump Tower. It could be a much better explosion, except for the build of the Cybertruck. Now, this is one that actually gets a little bit, let's say, more interesting, because a Cybertruck parked outside of Trump Hotel would make it seem like it's more of a targeted attack, more of a statement attack, if you will. We're finding out more information about the person who rented the truck, at least. The person who rented the truck is a 19-year active duty service member who is actually has some special forces training, so he should know how to do more stuff like this. We're not sure if that's the person who's in the truck because they can't identify the body yet, but we know the person who rented the truck from the Turo app has these backgrounds and things going on. And this looks like more of an actual planned event for a statement, Trump Towers and a Cybertruck, as opposed to the New Orleans thing, which seemed more like a point of convenience. In fact, some of the chatter about how this thing came about from New Orleans being maybe a second sort of location, because there was the people there and prepping for New Year's coming out and the Sugar Bowl coming in the next day. Maybe this was a chance to have a large crowd of people around to do something. And the way it just turned into, guy just sort of drove off the street and went down the sidewalk. Seems like this was sort of just a, hey, let's do this thing right now, as opposed to something that really was actually planned. The Cybertruck in Vegas, this one looks like something that you do on purpose, especially as they could monitor his actions from both license plate readers and the Tesla trucks. They track themselves. So you're talking about Tesla being a great company. When you gas up, when you go around and you do your pass and press buttons in your Tesla, Elon Musk knows where you're going. So all that's happening. These are two stories that are similar, not the same, but are they intertwined? We'll know more about this one in days, because they're gonna figure this thing out. They found Luigi Mangione. They will figure out this thing right here. The thing that gets us all worried is, are these the start of more coordinated attacks or more lone wolf attacks that are just going out there to cause terror here in the States? We shall see. ISIS apparently did not like not being involved in many things. So apparently ISIS is now on the rise, whether they're doing it on purpose or more people are just finding them and being inspired to show their love for the organization.